Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to look at section 8F, some applications with matrices. And we've looked at some applications with matrices, taking information from what a matrix has. Remember, we looked at like how many year 11s played basketball, etc. But this time we're going to look at what happens when after we multiply two matrices together, what information can you glean from those, what you can take. So, a couple of things. Remember that when you're multiplying, the algorithm for multiplying is row times what? Column. Yeah? So row times column. And you need to make sure that you multiply all the terms that are corresponding. Right? And we'll look again at how that works in just a moment when we look at some of these problems. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be first multiplying some matrices. And remember that the order is critical. If you change the order of the multiplication, then you change what the answer you get, and also you may put it into a situation where you actually can't multiply it. Because remember, when you multiply it, you have to compare the orders, and those two middle terms have to match. Again, we'll look at that again in a moment. And then second, you're just going to answer questions based on the products. So for example, the pieces of information that you get are going to be labeled and going to give you specific information. And you're going to, after you multiply them, then you'll be able to put that specific information together. Now these are really simple questions. And some of them, you're going to see no reason for doing the multiplication at all. And I'm going to actually show you a shortcut where you don't have to. But as they get more complex, if they got more complex, because remember they could also make a more complex question, then you really have to be careful about what it is you're looking at. Okay? Because remember, your matrix can change when you multiply. So a matrix that was a 2 by 3 can turn into a 3 by 1. Right? So you've got to be very careful about what you're working with. Right, so let's just go to the book, and we're just going to look through a couple of the examples, and then later we'll look at some examples from your homework. All right. Okay, so let's look at this example. This is a business application. So these two people they have a store and they're having a sales promotion. You get 1 free cinema ticket for every DVD you purchase and 2 free cinema tickets with each purchase of a computer game. So you see that they give you 2 matrices representing those. S is the sales that they made. You have the 2 people, and you have DVDs and games, and the number of each one they sold. Should look very familiar to you. We've used that one before. And then P is the promotion. In other words, for every DVD, they gave away pieces, and for every game, they gave away tickets as well. So, at the first column in that row is how much the DVDs cost, and the second row is how many tickets they gave away. Right? So, what we can do is we can simply find the product of those, and it will give us the total amounts of sales that they have, as well as the total value of the tickets that they've given away and the number of tickets they've given away. So let's just walk through this. So the first thing it tells you, find the matrix product of S and P and then interpret. So that's what we're going to do, is do multiply, and then we're going to answer questions based on the new numbers. So first, let's multiply S times P. Okay. So we'll first just draw them out. We have 7, 5, 4, 6. I'm just going to write it out, and then I'll go to notebook paper, make it easier. And then P is 20, 1, 30, and 2. Okay. Now to multiply these, we first have to determine the order. This one is a 2 by 2, and this one is a 2 by 2. The middle digits match, and they have to. Remember, otherwise it's undefined. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first row. So here's the first row. And we're going to multiply that first row times each column in the second matrix. So here's the first column. So we'll start there. So it's 7 times 20 plus 4 times 30. Okay? So that's the first row, just multiplying the corresponding items from the first row times the first column. If you want, what you can do is you can take these numbers and write them up and down. That way you'll know for sure exactly which pieces you're multiplying, right? Just write them both up and down instead of writing it across, instead of one being across and one up and down. Might clarify what numbers you're working with, okay? So there's our multiplication there. But I still have a second column, so I've got to multiply with it. So again, the row doesn't change, but I'm using the new column, so 1 and 2, multiplying those two together. So it gives me 7 times 1 plus 4 times 2. Right? Now I'm done with every row from that one, so what I'll do is I'll move on to the second row. So that's 5 and 6. So the first row in the second column, is 20 and 30. So those are our multipliers. So 5 times 20 plus 6 times 30. Then we're going to do the same thing with the second column. Sorry about that. Now I've just lost everything I was doing. Hold on. The same thing with the second column, so that would be 5 and 6 times the other group. Ooh,